In-text citation. So what does citation mean? If we take a look at Merriam-Webster's Learner's Dictionary, we can see that citation itself is a noun. Now, there are several definitions for citation, but for academic writing, we are only referring to the third definition here. So a citation is a line or short section taken from a piece of writing or a speech, meaning within the text, whether it's the book, an article, etc., you are taking a line or a short section of the literature itself to include it within your essay. So an example here that they have, it says, she includes citations or quotations from the article in her report. For the in-text citation, in this course, we use the APA style. APA refers to the American Psychological Association. Depending on your major, you may use other types of citation styles such as MLA or Chicago style. Every time you use information from a source, such as books, journals, or electronic sources, you have to give credit to the authors that you use. So how do we give credit? You must include the author's family name and the year the source was published. For example, if I used information from Smith's 2005 article, I have to include an in-text citation, such as this, which refers to end of sentence citation. I would put the bracket Smith, comma, 2005, bracket, full stop. For direct quotations, you need to include the page number if it's given. So for example, if I used information from page 5 of Smith's article, I would put Smith, comma, 2005, comma, P, full stop, 5. This indicates that the information was from page 5. However, you may come across sources in which there are no page numbers, such as online newspapers like New York Times or government websites. So in this case, if you use a direct quotation, you can indicate the paragraph number. The source itself may not have a paragraph number, so you would have to count the paragraph number, starting from the first paragraph to the last paragraph. So for example, if I used information from paragraph 5, I would need to indicate that in my in-text citation. I would write Smith, comma, 2005, comma, para, P-A-R-A, full stop, 5. So every time you cite a source in your text, these sources should be in the reference section as well. So since we cited Smith, 2005, in our essay, we would have to add Smith, 2005 in the reference section. Further details regarding the reference section will be given later in this video. There are 3 types of in-text citation that you will need to use in your literature review. The first type of in-text citation is the author prominent citation. This places importance on the author. When you use the author prominent citation, you need to first include the author's family name, the year of publication, and a reporting verb such as explains or highlights. For example, Johnson, 2011, argues that the war started because of a conflict. The second type of in-text citation is signal phrases. Signal phrases are usually placed at the beginning of a sentence. Signal phrases such as according to or as. An example of this is, as indicated by Johnson, 2011, the war started due to a conflict. The third type of in-text citation is information prominent citation, or in other words, end of sentence citation. This places the importance on the information itself, so that's why the information comes first and the citation comes at the end of the sentence. When writing an information prominent citation, you need to cite the author's family name after the information or at the end of the sentence with the year of publication. For example, the war started because of a conflict. Johnson, 2011. Please note that the full stop comes after the end of sentence citation. In all these examples of in-text citation, we use Johnson 2011. Johnson 2011 is an example of a primary source. This means that Johnson is the author of the source or literature itself. Now let's take a look at secondary citation. What is a secondary citation? A secondary citation is when an author has cited another author or authors within the text. For example, according to Lee, as cited in Croth's 2015, teachers should adopt a variety of teaching methods in the classroom. So you can see that in Croth's article, he or she cites Lee within his or her paper. Now let's take a look at an example of a secondary citation. Let's say I have this article here by Francois Moreau that was published in 2013. I want to paraphrase this information here that's highlighted in pink into my literature review. So you can see that this information is actually coming from a secondary source by Kurian and Moreau, published in 2006. So when I incorporate this into my literature review, I would write something like this. Kurian and Moreau, as cited in Moreau 2013, points out that the cost of distribution can be decreased by 35% if a music production company only sells digital albums. So you can see here that Kurian and Moreau is the secondary source, and Moreau is the primary source, meaning that is the original author of this article. You can see for secondary citation, we do not include the year the secondary source was published. Even though Kurian and Moreau was published in 2006, when we actually cite it within our literature review, we do not include that. So we just write Kurian and Moreau, and then as cited in Moreau 2013. So it is important to include the primary source, which is Moreau 2013, in our literature review. Citing multiple authors, two authors. For author prominent, you would cite it just like you would for one author, except with the and in the middle. So you would write Chung and Gill, 2017, argued that. For a signal phrase, it would be quite similar. You would just write according to Chung and Gill, 2017, comma. For information prominent citation or end of sentence citation, you have to put the and sign. So you have Chung and Gill, comma, 2017, end of the parenthesis, full stop. Notice that for two or more authors, you have to place an and sign before the last author in an end of sentence citation. When citing three or more authors, you need to write down all their names. So the first time you mention their name, for author prominent citation, I would have something like this. Chung, Gill, and Warren, 2017, stated that. For signal phrase citation, I would write, as pointed out by Chung, Gill, and Warren, 2017, comma. However, for information prominent citation or end of sentence citation, it's a bit different because instead of placing the word and, you would have to place the and sign before the last author. So I would write Chung, Gill, and Warren, comma, 2017. The next time you mention the same authors, so whether it's the second time you mention it, the third time you mention it within your essay, you don't have to write out all the authors' names again. In this case, you would just put et al. In Latin, this means and others. So for the author prominent, you would write Chung et al. Full stop. Give a little space here, so one space, and then the bracket 2017 end of bracket stated that. So again, when you mention it the second or third time, you don't need to write all the authors. You put et al. To stand for and others. And note that after the L, you have to put that full stop there because it's an abbreviation. For signal phrases, you would do the same thing. So you would have a signal phrase such as Chung et al. 2017 note, comma. And note that we have to have the subject-verb agreement. So Chung et al. Actually stands for they. So the verb is note. For information prominent or end of sentence citation, you do something similar again. So you would write Chung et al. Full stop, comma, space, 2017. Reference list. The reference list is placed at the end of the essay and it should be titled References. The title references should not be bolded, underlined, or used within quotation marks. And the title references should also be centered within your page. The purpose of a reference list is to allow the reader to find the sources that you have cited in your essay. If you have cited an author within your essay, a reader should be easily able to identify that source within your reference list. All the sources need to be in alphabetical order. You also have to use hanging indentation, which means that the second or third line from your source needs to be indented 1 inch. You also have to remember to double space the reference list, just like the rest of your essay. Here is an example of a reference list. So you see on top of the page is the title References. References is centered and it is not bolded, underlined, or in quotation marks. And you'll see here are the 3 sources that a student used for their literature review, and they are in alphabetical order. So we have O, P, and S. You can also see that there's hanging indentation. So notice that this first source, it takes up 2 lines, but the second line is indented. Or you can take a look at the second source. This whole part is indented. So this is what we call hanging indentation. And to do that in Microsoft Word, all you have to do is highlight it, right-click, choose Paragraph, and under Indentation, you see where it says Special, you choose Hanging. You can also see that the sources are all double-spaced. The first source here is from an academic journal. You can see that the journal name is Journal of Popular Film and Television. The second source is from a website, and the third source is from an edited book. So it is actually a chapter in an edited book. For further information on how to create a reference list in APA style, please refer to your textbook. This is the end of the video on in-text citation.